Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. This is a B1 level ESL lesson, and today we're going to be working on vocabulary, learning informal expressions that you can use when making small talk. So do you find it hard to make small talk, or do you enjoy having a chit chat? So some people are very good at small talk. What about you? So you can put your answers in the comments to generate some conversation. So we all need to engage in small talk from time to time. Sophia says, I don't like small talk. I tend to stay at my desk all day because I really don't enjoy chatting about nothing in the staff room. Mohammed says, small talk is a good skill to have. People are social animals, so it's important to talk with people, even with people you don't know well. And Ava says, it's fun to catch up in the morning. I enjoy a bit of chit-chat every day. It's a good way of finding out who's in a good mood and who's in a bad mood. So when we communicate with people in an informal or casual way, we often use general words. I'm going to read these three and see if you can tell which is formal, which is informal, and how can you tell? Well, in my opinion, everyone should do at least 20 minutes of physical exercise. Without adequate exercise, it's impossible to maintain optimal health. Well, this one seems fairly formal. He uses this, in my opinion. He uses higher level vocabulary like, or she, I'm sorry, adequate and optimal, maintain optimal health. Exercise is important. Football, soccer, and stuff like that is good for your health. Everyone should exercise a couple of times a week. So this one would be informal, using a filler phrase. Stuff like that is good for your health. A couple of times, again, that's a little more informal. And on the whole, it's good to exercise. Stuff like running, swimming, and that kind of thing are good for you. So again, this would be a little more informal stuff, and that kind of thing are more informal phrases. So read the statements about riding a bike in Australia, and do you think these statements are true or false? And again, these would be just your opinions to start off. You won't have any, unless you're from Australia, you won't have any way of knowing whether these are right or wrong answers. But just we'll take a look at these and then you can indicate whether you think they're true or false. You have to wear a bike helmet at all times. You need to have a light on the front and back of your bike. You were not allowed to rent a bike for longer than 30 days. You have to ride on the left side of the road. You cannot carry a bag on your back when riding a bike. And you don't have to stop at stop signs, but you do have to stop at red traffic lights. So here are the answers to those. A is true. B is true. C is false. There's no limit on how long you're allowed to rent a bike. D is true. E is false. And F is false. All right, should cyclists be required to wear helmets? So we're going to read Etienne's post and answer the question. So Etienne Trudeau says, the first time I rode a bike in Australia, I discovered that Australia is one of only two countries in the world where you are required to wear a bike helmet. The other is New Zealand, in case you were wondering. I was shocked. As an avid cyclist, I had worn high visibility clothing before, but in my opinion, the decision to wear a helmet or not should be entirely personal. Wearing a bike helmet does not make the roads safer. Improving road systems to ensure that cyclists are protected from road traffic should be the priority. So do you agree with Etienne? And if so, you can, or if not, you can answer that in the comments and give your reasons why. So here are some responses that Etienne received. So we're going to read the responses and answer the questions. So Joe AI says, I don't think people should be required to wear bike helmets. I think they should be allowed to make their own decisions about that kind of thing. And Gordon Lowe says, I'm from the Netherlands. Typically, people from the Netherlands never wear bike helmets, and I've never heard of anyone having an accident involving a head injury. Generally, I think it's more important to have bike-friendly streets. So which two adverbs are used to make the language seem general? And what other words seem informal and non-specific? Well, the adverbs typically and generally, and when they use an expression like that kind of thing, is more informal and non-specific. Right, here are a few more responses. And which words do the authors use to show that they are speaking generally? Eric Edwards says, on the whole, I think wearing a bike helmet and stuff like high visibility clothing is a good idea. Many roads in the US are busy and dangerous, and you need all the protection you can get from crazy drivers and that kind of thing. So where he says, on the whole, stuff like, and that kind of thing. May says, I think this sort of thing completely depends on the environment. If you're cycling gently down a quiet country road, wearing a bike helmet seems kind of ridiculous. So again, this sort of thing. And Jose says, wearing a bike helmet is kind of annoying. They never fit well, and so generally they're not very comfortable. They're bulky and awkward things to carry too. So he says, kind of annoying. And he also uses generally. So take a closer look at the language we use to talk about things in a general way. So it's some kind of new technology, isn't it? I don't eat those things. Politics, the economy, and stuff like that are boring. Typically, it's a difficult subject to talk about. I think generally people don't like to change their habits, and I don't like talking about that sort of thing. So all of those words and phrases in bold are ways to make what you're talking about seem more general. All right, so let's take a look at some of the language we use to speak in a general way. We can use adverbs and adverbial phrases like in general and generally. So here's some examples. I think typically that young people can change their habits easily. Normally, you can expect bad behavior from teenagers. And on the whole, today's parents don't discipline their children enough. We use a couple of or a couple in place of a few or several. He wrote a couple of good books in the 1980s. There's a couple of good movies playing at the theater this week. And kind of and sort of are followed by nouns and adjectives, and they are used as answers to give an answer between yes or no. The TV show was kind of depressing. Jackson is some sort of doctor. Did you enjoy the party? Sort of. So kind of and sort of plus an adjective have a similar meaning to a little. We use things and stuff to replace nouns. Thing is a countable noun and stuff is an uncountable noun. Thing and stuff are commonly used when the exact name is not needed or known. So here's some examples. I'm going to the shop to buy a couple of things. I'll be back in 10 minutes. What was that thing you used to repair the bike wheel? Why are you always buying so much stuff? You've got stuff everywhere in the house. Stuff like that, things like that kind of thing, and that kind of stuff all have the same meaning. He's always talking about science and stuff like that. It's not polite to say things like that to your teacher. He enjoys activities, running, basketball, and that kind of stuff. And in general, I don't like eating that sort of thing. All right, so we're going to listen to Steve and David, and we're chatting, and then we'll change the words that are in bold to more general language.
Hello, David. How are you?
Oh, hi, Steve. Not bad, thanks. You?
Yeah, can't complain. I haven't seen you for a while. How are you and Sally?
Pretty good on the whole. Sally is kind of busy with her new job.
Oh, yes? A new job? How is that working out?
Generally okay, I would say. She's just finding her feet at the moment, taking training courses and that kind of thing.
All right, so we heard the words in bold that they used actually more general language. So instead of definitely, he said kind of. Instead of exceptionally, interestingly, he said generally okay. And instead of being specific about seminars and a number of conferences, he just said, and that kind of thing. All right, so now we'll listen and fill in the blanks.
I think that's pretty typical when you start a new job.
Yeah, she's doing okay for the most part. How about you and the kids?
We're all doing okay. Jason has a lot of stuff going on at university, so he's kind of stressed at the moment.
I thought he was generally pretty relaxed about things.
Yes, he is most of the time.
Does he have exams and things coming up?
Well, the exams aren't for a few more months, but he has to do some presentations and that kind of thing.
All right, so now we can change, look at this text and then see if you can change the words in bold to more general language. And then once you've done that, you can listen to see if your words matched what they actually said.
Oh, okay. And what about Lucy?
Lucy? Well, she's in her last year at school. Typically, she seems to spend most of her time glued to social media.
Social media? I don't really understand any of that stuff.
Neither do I, to be honest. Apparently, it's all about posting photos online and that kind of thing.
Right. And what about you? How's work?
Oh, you know, just the usual kind of thing, really. Lots of stuff to sort out and not enough hours in the day.
Oh, well, I'd better let you go.
Yes, I should get a move on.
It was nice to catch up. Have a good day and don't work too hard.
So here we see that instead of from what I've seen recently, he says typically, new way of communication. He uses stuff instead. Um, Writing short, eye-catching articles. He just says that kind of thing. And I have the same life as the last time I saw you. Um, Here Steve says just the usual kind of thing. And instead of lots of small problems, he says lots of stuff. All right, so listen to the full conversation and then decide which of these choices, which description fits their conversation best.
Hello, David. How are you?
Oh, hi, Steve. Not bad, thanks. You?
Yeah, can't complain. I haven't seen you for a while. How are you and Sally?
Pretty good on the whole. Sally is kind of busy with her new job.
Oh, yes? A new job? How is that working out?
Generally okay, I would say. She's just finding her feet at the moment, taking training courses and that kind of thing.
I think that's pretty typical when you start a new job.
Yeah, she's doing okay for the most part. How about you and the kids?
We're all doing okay. Jason has a lot of stuff going on at university, so he's kind of stressed at the moment.
I thought he was generally pretty relaxed about things.
Yes, he is most of the time.
Does he have exams and things coming up?
Well, the exams aren't for a few more months, but he has to do some presentations and that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. And what about Lucy?
Lucy? Well, she's in her last year at school. Typically, she seems to spend most of her time glued to social media.
Social media? I don't really understand any of that stuff.
Neither do I, to be honest. Apparently, it's all about posting photos online and that kind of thing.
Right. And what about you? How's work?
Oh, you know, just the usual kind of thing, really. Lots of stuff to sort out and not enough hours in the day.
Oh, well, I'd better let you go.
Yes, I should get a move on.
It was nice to catch up. Have a good day and don't work too hard.
Right, so they don't know each other very well, so they talk in a general way to avoid being over friendly. It doesn't seem like that's the case. They seem to know the names of each other's spouses and children. They talk in a general way to be polite, but they don't really like each other. Talking generally is a good way of talking without saying anything. I don't really get the sense that they don't like each other. They seem to be friendly. I think C is probably the best one. They have a good working relationship that allows them to talk in a relaxed manner. They probably don't talk like this when they talk about work issues. Right, so talking in a general way is a good skill, but be careful. That sort of thing is amazing. You know, stuff that really annoys me, even if I generally don't worry about things like that. I mean, sometimes you just have to ignore stuff and get on with things. So don't use too many terms in the same sentence of a paragraph. If you talk too generally, it's possible that other people won't understand you. And at first, use these words with people you know well and only in informal situations. All right, so you are Joe or Robert, and read the scenario and catch up on the latest news. So again, you can pause the video, try this on your own, and then restart when you're ready to continue. So you see Joe as you enter the staff kitchen. You haven't seen him in a while because you've been working in the San Francisco office. You've had a few family problems recently, so you haven't been able to go to hockey practice, and you would like to find out the latest news about Joe and his family. Joe says Joe is here in the staff kitchen when Robert arrives. You haven't seen each other for a couple of weeks. You like working with Robert, but you don't speak with him often because you work in different departments. You still play on the same hockey team, but Robert hasn't been to Friday night practice for a couple of months. So now you're going to prepare to write a dialogue. So think of some answers to some of these questions. What has happened at work recently? What kind of news can either Robert and Joe give about their families? Have they done anything new recently? Have they visited a good restaurant in the past month? And have they watched any interesting show or series? And then go ahead and see if you can write a dialogue between Robert and Joe. And remember to use the target language to talk in a general way. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, leave comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.